have been to school? How many of you not? Just as I guessed. Every child has a spark. But why do some never get the chance to find it? What if I told you that the conventional education system doesn't really help you find your spark much? In this presentation today, I will be sharing 2 things, which is number 1, my personal experiences and stories, and number 2, my framework that helps me find my sparks. At the age of 12, I'm an international performer, singer-songwriter, musician, and the author of my book, Grade or Great. But most of all, I'm an unschooler. And yes, you heard it right. I'm the girl who ditched school. I am Mirabelle Woo. Now, when I say the word unschool, what's the first thing that pops up into your mind? Whether I'm not socially exposed, whether I'm uneducated. How many of you think I'm uneducated? Thanks for being honest. Now, when I say uneducated, what do I mean? A lot of people think that unschoolers are uneducated, but really, what does unschooling mean? Now, is it okay if I share some background about myself? Thanks. I was born in a family of high achievers. Education is always a top priority in my family. My grandma was a headmistress in one of the most famous schools in Ipoh, and my grandpa, he was a high school teacher before he ventured into business. When I was 18 months old, my parents sent me to an international school, thinking it would give me the best platform for my education or my future. I was in school for about 5 years until COVID-19 happened. And everything just started coming with the pandemics, the quarantines, the lockdowns. And my mom just clicked. She was like, why not we just start the journey of homeschooling? And that's really when it all started. Now, I really want to share more about my journey of homeschooling, but I do have time restraints today. So let me get straight to the point of how I found my spark. Now, through my experiences, whether it was performing internationally, whether it was speaking on stage, whether it was homeschooling or unschooling, I realized a cycle that I repeated again and again, and I never stopped using it, even right now. I call it the MIRA framework. So what is the MIRA framework? The M in the MIRA framework represents mind. Everything starts in our minds, with our minds, from our minds. Now, how many of you believe that our minds can be easily controlled? Okay, let me show you. Put both of your hands up and close your eyes. Now, do not, I repeat, do not think of an elephant wearing a pink bikini dancing in front of you. Do not think of it. Yeah, do not think of it. Okay, put down your hands and close up and open your eyes. How many of you saw that pink bikini elephant? How many of you not? Wow, you are in great denial. Okay, so our mind constantly produces something called thoughts. And we often, as humans, get confused with what thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and facts are. So, what do I mean when I say that? The fact is that I'm standing on this stage speaking to you right now. The feeling is that I'm feeling nervous. And all of a sudden, thoughts rush into my mind, telling me someone dislikes me, someone likes me, whether someone realized I missed a word, and oh my God, someone hates me? Which I don't believe is going to be true, right? So, once we know how to differentiate, a thought is a thought, a belief is a belief, a feeling is a feeling, and a fact is just a fact, we gain clarity. And when we have clarity, we have power. When we have power, we become powerful enough to inspire. You know what? In this framework, the I coincidentally represents inspire. So what do I mean by inspire? I mean being open and willing enough to be inspired. Now I remember a story. It was an experience in my life. I was 7 years old and I started singing at that time, and it's really my passion. And I remember my singing teacher who tricked my mom into making me and my dad record a video of us singing and putting it into a singing competition that we did not know would be aired on national TV. And so we were just singing happily, recording happily. And 2 days after, my mom received a phone call and she was like, "Congratulations, Mr. Wu and Mirabelle got into the show." And my mom was like, "Show? What show?" And so my teacher had to explain everything. We did not know what we were getting into until we freaked out. We knew what was happening. And then we were just like, okay, we have to prepare, right? We have to prepare because it's going to be aired on national TV. So we have to be like, okay, so what song are we going to sing? What parts are we going to sing? And I remember that time where I was inspired at just 7 years old. My dad, even though he didn't have the experience of singing on stage, he wasn't used to singing on stage. He didn't even know what a pitch was, what a beat was. But he was just so inspiring that he was willing to open up and being willing to try new things, even though it was challenging or difficult for him. And I remember going to the studio to record our music video for the show. And I remember I was just singing happily because it was just so fun for me. And my dad, well, he was having time of his life while peeing in his pants. And so that's what happened. And then we went through the show. It was a long journey and we had so much fun, even though it was definitely challenging sometimes. And it was at a point where we got into the finals. We had to sing the final song. And that was when it hit me. I was like, it's so inspiring, even though it was so difficult, it was so challenging, but to be open enough and willing to try new things is just something I learned from that experience. And so that's just one of the many experiences I have or inspirations I've had. And now, once we know how to differentiate, a thought is a thought, a fact is a fact, a belief is a belief, a feeling is a feeling, and we know how to be willing and open to inspire, we get to a point, which is the R in this framework, that represents reflect. Now, what do I mean by reflect? I mean, it's just like reviewing your day. It could be, in a specific situation where you were like, oh, I felt so excited in this situation. I felt like, I really want to be that inspiring person too. I felt inspired by that. I read a book that I love. Or it could be a situation where you're like, I wish I could have done better. What could I do better the next time this happens? So let's do an activity. So everyone, put your hands up like this, as if you're trying to open a safety box. Turn the dial to 10, 24, and 7. So what does this number combination mean? According to a German psychologist, Hermann Ebbinghaus, he says that when you review what happened within 10 minutes, you review it again in 24 hours, and you review it once again within 7 days, you'll remember 100% of what happened for the rest of your life. Cool, right? Now, that's really what I do. I review, I reflect, and I remember. And so once we have these 3 elements together, which is we have to have a conscious mind. We know a thought is a thought, a feeling is a feeling, a fact is a fact, and a belief is a belief. And number 2, We know how to be open and willing to be inspired or inspire someone else. And we review, reflect, and remember everything that happened around us. And after having these three things, these three elements that exist together, I like to say we get into a point where I call it the awakened state. Now, in this state, that is where I make sparks into fire. Now, everyone has a spark. What is yours? Thank you.